Welcome back to Mind Your Own Business Radio on News Talk WLOB. I'm Debbie Davis, and with me today again is Tom Sarna.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. With us next is Matt Byron and Eddie Baldasaro. They are producing the film Orchard Revolution. The goal of this movie is to reduce obesity and decrease oil consumption as well as clean the air. Welcome.
Debbie and Tom, thank you so much for having us.
Our pleasure. So, Orchard Revolution, it's a number of things here, and I'm just going to have you kind of go into this because there's a film that you guys are working on, and there's also an online presence with some stats and some interesting information about how the Orchard Revolution is going to change things for us. And why don't you guys kind of explain for our audience what that's all about?
Sure. So the Orchard Revolution is a movement, a national movement of people planting trees. And our goal is we're producing a film titled Orchard Revolution. And this film is to encourage every American family to plant 5 fruit trees in their own yard or local park. And like you were saying, Tom, the reasons for that would be, one is that 1 in 3 Americans are obese, 1 in 5 American children are obese.
Right.
We spend tons of money. We waste lots of gasoline shipping our food across America. You know, we're going to the supermarket buying apples from Washington State or the nation of Chile. It doesn't make sense to us.
Yeah, where's the breadbasket that we grew up with? It's gone. It's all isolated pockets of things around the country.
It seems crazy. It seems unsustainable. And then the third thing, of course, is that by planting fruit trees, we're hoping to help clean the air.
Something we're really excited about, something we've been jumping right into, and talking to various people in the area, and turns out, like, even in Portland, there's a lot of people that are really passionate about this as well, and through every person, you find someone else, and then someone else, and it's been really exciting.
Now, didn't you guys just go through a planting a couple of weeks ago?
We did have a large planting on the Rosemont Avenue neighborhood in Portland. It was great. We captured the story of this one family which organized their neighborhood. They got all the neighbors out Saturday morning, and at 9 a.m. on Saturday, all these neighbors came together, and they planted 49 fruit trees in one day.
That's great.
Wow.
It was really exciting. I think that if we can find more stories like that, or if we can help spark more stories like that across America, then our vision can come to fruition.
For Maine, what kind of fruit trees would you suggest that people plant that would flourish here?
I'd say anything that's native to the area. We're trying to encourage people to plant apple trees.
Right.
But it doesn't need to be limited to just trees. Anything that's a perennial, like blueberries, too. Blueberries do great in Maine. But we like the idea of trees because the yield per acre is high. The maintenance is minimal, and that's the idea behind this film. Is we're trying to show people who have a busy life, you can take a few minutes to plant a tree, and that tree will benefit you for the next 50 or 60 years. The benefit is long-term, and the maintenance is minimal.
Well, plus you get fruit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm sold already. Gee whiz.
Judging
I may never have to buy apples again if I planted an apple tree.
Another big word is affordable. You know, we're looking at ways to make sure this is affordable for everyone, and that there is ways that you're not going to be spending all the money in your wallet, you know, to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
Where do people go to find the right kind of fruit tree and something that is going to be easy to plant? Just your local nursery, or is there kind of a hub here in Portland?
Sure. You can go to your local nursery, or you can go to Home Depot or a Lowe's. We actually, through the movement, that one neighborhood, I think we cleaned out Home Depot, and they don't have any fruit trees currently. But there are also other groups like Fedco where you can buy trees from, and certainly local nurseries.
Where did you hear about this national movement, Orchard Revolution?
Well, that's the term that we've coined. But it's a word to sort of encompass what's going on nationwide. Nationwide, there are various terms to describe this. There's permaculture, there's being green-friendly, sustainable. Any other terms you can think of, Eddie? So what we're trying to do is we're really trying to focus on the trees, because the trees are a long-term solution to a long-term problem. It's practical for people who have a family and kids and busy work style. So it's really just a new term that we've coined.
Let's talk about some of these stats that you gave us. In 2010, a third of the U.S. adults were obese and 17% of children were obese. And medical spending attributed to obesity was $147 billion.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. I have my own little idea about why we're all obese. Because of what they're feeding the cattle and the chickens.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And these GMOs and all this. And we're eating it, and it's designed to get them fat, and it's getting us fat, too.
And Debbie, I think that touches upon another key point that I didn't mention earlier. is that planting trees, I think, is the segue into a healthier lifestyle and healthier value system altogether. I think when people, based on my own observation, myself and friends and family, when people plant trees, they become more conscious of what they're eating. It's like a visual billboard. You walk by your apple tree every day and you're thinking, hey, I should eat an apple today, or I should eat more fruit. So I think that, back to your point, I think that by having apple trees, people will become more health conscious. And that change, that shift in their values and their behavior, I think is so important to addressing this problem.
But I'm a city girl, and to me, planting a fruit tree is like becoming a gardener. And I'm not a gardener. Now, I can grow the greatest indoor plants you've ever seen, but outside, there's bugs out there, guys.
Yeah.
Now, don't fruit trees bring on bugs?
Fruit trees have beautiful flowers and blossoms that smell fantastic. I can't help but think that every woman out there would love the smell of those flowers and to see those.
Yes, this is true. You're right. In the spring, the fruit trees are the prettiest. There's no question. Now, air pollution is causing environmental and human health problems. This is an ongoing issue. It has been for years. But the more trees, the better we're going to be able to cleanse the air.
Absolutely. I mean, trees, they feed off CO2, right? Through photosynthesis.
Yep.
So our pollution is actually their food. So I think that the most practical solution, the most environmentally sensitive solution to these carbon problems is to plant trees.
Now, a fallback for somebody who doesn't have their own yard or the space or maybe the time to dedicate to it, they could plant strawberries that could grow in your house, basically.
Yeah.
That's true.
You don't have to go full-on tree. You can scale it down.
You're right.
And that's one of the things we're trying to get across is that even if you're living in city, there's ways around this, where you can talk to certain people, and there's places where you can plant trees or rooftops and stuff like that, and that's another topic that we like to...
Community gardens.
And actually, Tom, the city of Portland, we asked them, we talked to the city arborist, Jeff Tarling, and he gave us permission to plant on certain city parks.
Nice.
So people who don't have land, who want to plant a tree, land should not inhibit them. They just need to be active. They need to contact their local arborist or city arborist or whoever administers the parks, or even find neighbors who have vacant land. There's a story of a guy in Colorado. We want to capture this story in our film, where he went to his neighbors and he asked them if he could plant gardens in their yards, and they all agreed. And these people had plenty of land that they weren't utilizing. So I think people just need to become more creative.
Right.
Not having land is not an excuse.
Shouldn't be a barrier.
Absolutely not.
That's a good point. Okay, so you guys are in the filming process now?
Yes.
How far are you into it?
This is the first scene, right?
That's right.
Get started right here.
Opening shot. Right now, we're about 60% done with the video footage, and pretty soon we're going to stop doing the video and focus on editing the trailer. Yep. But the actual videoing will finish in September or October, and that's because we need to get the shots of apples being on trees. There are certain shots that depend on the seasons that we're waiting for. And we've been meeting with authors and university professors and local doctors. We've assembled a great crew so far of people to interview.
Yeah, and every time we interview one person, that person suggests someone else, and so it's just a constant chain of people.
That's nice.
So when the film comes out, it sounds like this will be a great tool to aid your message. Do you have a plan to go to schools and clinics and talk to people directly once the film comes out?
I think you're right, Tom, right on point in that this is the tool for sharing the idea. And our hope is to use internet video, to use Hulu, Amazon.com, Netflix, to use those as the venues for sharing our movie. That way it's not focused on just this region, and we can reach all of America overnight. And we'd love to see that. We'd love to get into schools, into high schools or elementary schools, and into colleges, and really get kids immersed on planting trees.
Right.
The success of this film, I think, is about people planting trees. That's how we're going to gauge the success, not by view count. That's irrelevant.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's more of the message and than the film itself.
When are you going to consider the project finished?
I think we'll be done in October or November when we have all the shots. Well, I guess actually we're also releasing it in theaters. So really the endeavor will continue into the spring of 2014.
I think this will continue even after that.
Long journey,
hopefully,
huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hopefully the message will continue for
Message,
for
yes,
decades. Yeah.
definitely.
When every American has less than 10% body fat, then it'll be done.
We're shooting for that day.
It's a great goal.
Isn't this all about being self-sustainable?
Yes, definitely. Debbie, I think the message of this film is to show people that we don't need to depend on the government. We don't need to depend on some leader to tell people what to do to solve these problems. I mean, we've had plenty of time to do that. In the past 33 years of my life, I've yet to see a leader say, hey, let's plant trees. Hey, let's implement this practical, pragmatic, this solution, which is eco-friendly and financially viable. And so this film, one of the underlying messages is that we as individuals can take action to take control of our fate. And the future for America doesn't need to be doomed. The future of America doesn't need to be one where we depend on foreign oil, where more people are obese, where more people are breathing toxic air. So we really hope that this film frees people to take action and to take control of their destiny.
Well, it seems like a message that Mainers would embrace, because so much of the history here was about being self-sustaining and not depending on the government. And everyone had trees and cut logs and did things.
Had gardens.
Garden to sustain themselves. And then now we as a society are getting away from that at a very rapid pace.
I like to think that there's a movement, though, people coming back to gardening. I don't know if this is what you guys are seeing, but in my own neighborhood, I'm seeing gardens.
I think you're right. But I don't think I think it's the younger generation that's getting into it more. I mean, I'm a boomer. I think it's those coming after me that are getting into it more.
And what I love about it, regardless of the age, is I love how it's bringing communities together. For example, my own neighborhood in Portland, there are 4 neighbors of mine who are now gardening and growing trees and vegetables. And I feel that by them being outside and planting these vegetables and trees, we're starting to know each other better. So it's not just that we're planting fruit, it's also that we're building community.
Or more talking to your neighbor over the fence.
Yeah, whatever happened.
What happened to that? Let's talk about how people can reach you and what the next steps are.
Sure, yes. People can reach us on orchardrevolution.com. And what we're really asking for listeners to do is to take action. If you're listening to the show, we really hope that you consider planting 5 fruit trees in your yard. Take action so that you can know that you're helping to solve America's health problems, to know that you're helping to reduce our dependency on foreign oil, and to also know that you're helping to clean our environment.
Take charge. I love this idea. It's a great message.
You.
Matt, Byron, and Eddie Baldasaro, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks for coming out, guys.